Tsyzu each score 40-36. While Judge Barbara Perez has it 39-37. All for the winner by unanimous decision, the crown jewel.
You know it's AB, always balling, always boarding, a lot of bills. You know what's going on, man. You know, shout out to Crown Jewels Boxing, man. You know, my people. You know, they get it in over there, straight up.
Lamar Peterson giving a shout out to CrownJewelBoxing.com.
What's good, YouTube? Crown Jewel from Crown Jewel Boxing, back with a gem. I wanted to come on and respond to the busy weekend we had in boxing. Touch on a few subjects. Tsyzu back in action. Keyshawn Davis just may not be what he's been advertised to be to this point. And also prison reform. All the people that were fighting for prison reform, for Meek Mill, when all the celebrities got involved, the Kim Kardashians, the Michael Rubins, all these people, where are they for Gervonta Davis? We're going to get into that too. First, over the weekend, Tsyzu defended his championship for the first time that he got when Jamar Cello failed to defend his mandatory title defense against Tsyzu. Tsyzu was elevated to champ, and this was his first fight as champion. He fought Brian Mendoza, rugged guy. Pretty one-sided fight. It went pretty much how I thought it would go. It was competitive early. Over time, the sharper, harder punches and the pressure of Tsyzu wore Brian Mendoza down, and he basically battered him the second half of the fight, winning a unanimous decision. Keyshawn Davis, I've heard very, very, very high praise from this young man, about this young man, and rightfully so. I've never been so sold on him as some people are. I've heard people say, you know, he Shakur's kryptonite, and he's gonna beat Shakur. He's better than Shakur. Blah 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 blah. All this Shakur. I'm guessing based on what people think they may have seen in sparring. Well, from what I seen last night against Meek Mill out of Philly, who put up a great fight, Meek Mill. Very close fight, very competitive fight. I felt like ESPN was extremely biased. I mean, terrible. We need to be doing a petition to get Timothy Bradley off TV. He's horrible, a horrible company guy, and he has no problem even embarrassing himself to do it. But with that being said, Keyshawn Davis finished this fight in retreat. He hurt Meek Mill with a shot, and Meek Mill responded by hurting him with a shot right before the bell, visibly shaking him right before the bell. And Keyshawn spent the next 2 rounds on his bike, and it was obvious, you know what I mean, once he felt them. He was like, listen, I feel like I got a lead. I'm just going to coast. Well, Timothy Bradley, I mean, I'm sure with his vast experience in boxing, just like anybody else that has any type of experience in boxing and an eye for boxing, would have known what they were looking at, saw that Keyshawn Davis was kind of in retreat and kind of, you know, had reserved himself to just accepting that he'd win a decision. But he couldn't, that wasn't good enough for Timothy Bradley. He had to make up an excuse for Keyshawn Davis mid-fight when he came out and said something's wrong with Keyshawn Davis. It's his stomach. It's his stomach again. I can tell because he's usually this and he's usually that, and he's not. So something's definitely wrong with him, his stomach. To the point where the commentator that did the interview after the fight, post-fight interview, I forget his name, but he was sure to mention that, like, how's your stomach? And Keyshawn right away came back with, my stomach felt great. Oh, it felt great this whole camp, you know. Got the chef, blah, blah, blah. The stomach was great. Nothing was wrong. I felt great. So you guys look like complete imbeciles because you give this guy an excuse and he doesn't even take it himself. But, I mean, they're that biased that because the underdog in Meek Mill out of Philly, again, salute to you, Meek, because he had some good moments and had, you know, maybe cast some doubt over Keyshawn's showcase fight, they needed to make an excuse for him. And like I said, hats off to Keyshawn Davis. Good fight. Both you guys put on a good fight. And You know what I mean? Also, that's a class act by you not taking that excuse that they tried to give you and just accepting the fact that, you know what, you was in there with a tough fighter who had some moments, which is what ESPN should have done. Lastly, the world was kind of in an uproar a few years ago when Meek Mill had been, you know, violated his probation and been incarcerated and given an ungodly amount of time for what had been done, like Willie in the dirt bike, and you know, they felt like the judge was being extra because he was famous or proving a point, and all these celebrities and billionaires got involved to help him out. I think, you know, where are those people at with Tank Davis right now? Because first of all, I'm gonna say this, and some people, oh, he's rich, he's spoiled, whatever. Well, I'm gonna say this: this is where being rich works against you. Because I haven't seen too many guys go to jail for motor vehicle offenses that don't involve somebody dying. You know what I mean? You usually don't get jail time in an automobile accident that everyone's a survivor. No one's even critically injured. So, you know what I mean? It's usually the severity of the accident that dictates, you know, whether or not you do time. And like something like vehicular homicide or something to get you jail time, or, you know, getting a DUI in conjunction with an accident when somebody gets hurt is usually when you get jail time as a layperson. But no, you know, for leaving the scene of an accident, Gervonta Tank Davis was sentenced to 90 days in jail. We know he was on house arrest, which they say he violated by, you know, being in a Four Seasons hotel or whatever. So he goes and does a 60 days or whatever, and he's released. Well, our prison system, jail system, supposedly is to rehabilitate, right? And to put you in a position where you don't get in trouble again. Tank Davis, fortunately, has ascended to the top of his profession. And in doing so, afforded himself the ability to move out of the ghettos of Baltimore, which, you know, may not be the best place for him to be at this point in his life, as indicative of him having issues with his former promoter and Floyd Mayweather years ago, when Floyd was always trying to get him to leave Baltimore and he wouldn't. Because, you know, us older guys know some of the type of distractions and dangers that face you as you ascend and stay where you're from if you come from an impoverished area. So, you know, he's grown enough to where he feels like what's best for his life and for his career is to live outside of Baltimore. So, you know, that's what he's been doing, living and training outside of Baltimore. Well, after getting in trouble here, serving his 60 days, this judge, I think spitefully, says, you know, you have this community service, which I think he's finished now, or he should be finished by now. But also, you have to serve your probation in Baltimore as well. It's almost like, again, either she's trying to punish him unjustly, or she's trying to put him in a position where, or he or she, I don't know if it's a male or female judge, but trying to put him in a position as to where he may get himself in some trouble, or it may negatively affect his career. And we all know, like, if you want to rehabilitate somebody or keep them from committing a crime, one of the basic principles is to give them gainful employment. Well, his employment at this point in his career takes him outside of Baltimore, and it seems like the court system is trying to make that difficult for him. I don't ever think, you know, after serving a jail sentence or something you did wrong, part of your punishment would be to ruin you professionally and stop you from being able to feed yourself and go to work. Most anybody, like Meek Mill, had to fight and get his probation moved to where he lives now in Atlanta. He was saying, like, how the situation is much more wholesome down there. Why wouldn't Gervonta Tank Davis be afforded the same opportunity? I mean, we see people all the time, if they're able to prove to the court that they have meaningful employment and a chance of having a more successful life and being more successfully at staying out of trouble elsewhere, they're usually afforded those abilities to move. Why is it different for Gervonta Tank Davis? Is it a jealousy because he's a multi-millionaire? Does the judge personally feel like he's privileged? Does she have a problem with athletes? I mean, because none of which should factor in to whether or not he's being appropriately punished. But, you know, I just want to see the Michael Rubins, the Kim Kardashians, all these superstars that were speaking out about reform for Meek Mill, and rightfully so. Well, I mean, Gervonta Tank Davis needs you right now, because the world of boxing, especially the lightweight division, is on hold right now, because there is no real major fights there, or the biggest fights there that can be made involve Gervonta Tank Davis. So us as fans, me as a fan, I want to see him, you know, be in the best position to be able to compete in those, which, you know, a lot of people are going to win because of that. It's going to be a big shot in the arm to whatever economy and whatever city they fight in. So yeah, I think it's time for us to come together, you know, with regards to reform and put some pressure on that judge in Baltimore that seems to be putting a roadblock, not only in the career but in the life of Gervonta Tank Davis. And again, I don't think what our criminal justice system is supposed to be for that. I think you're supposed to rehabilitate, and when you rehabilitate somebody, the last thing you want to do is take their profession away from them. With that being said, that's all I have for tonight. Until next time, keep your hands up, your chin down, your ass off the floor. Peace.